Good evening. Hello, everyone. A very logical day to all of you. Let's see what we have today in our reading section. The first editorial of the Indian Express, May 24th. The Unseeing Eye and the Deaf Ear. Quite an interesting heading it is. And it gives us an example of a figure of speech. A deaf ear and an unseeing eye can be an example of an oxymoron. Right? An adjective plus a noun. But this is an opposite adjective. Right? The opposite adjective with a noun becomes an oxymoron. We can understand the more examples later on. Let's continue with our reading first. So, how many times do victims have to speak up before they get justice? Asks Vinesh Fogart as the unprecedented sit in by the country's top women wrestlers at Jantar Mantar completes a month. She could as well ask a question, even more damning of the system that seems to have turned its back to those who have done the country proud. Stood at the victory podium, medals around their head, neck, and the national anthem filling the stadium. That means these people who have got medals for the country, right? That is called to bring laurels to the country. But then what are they doing? Or they are an unprecedented sit-in. मतलब ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ है. Sit-in का मतलब that they are waiting there at the Jantar Mantar that has completed a month here. How many times do victims have to speak up before they are even heard? Now, see, here you get the difference of speaking up and getting heard. Right. So that means you can speak, but you are not heard, right? कोई सुनने वाला नहीं होता है. That is it. So, because by all accounts, the wrestlers who have made allegations of sexual harassment against the Wrestling Federation chief and BJP MP Brij Bhushan Singh are unseen and unheard by the powers that be. This unseeing eye and deaf ear, this hard wall of silence, worsens their ordeal that began when they took their courage in both hands and mounted a collective fight against a powerful politician and sports administration. The report by a probe committee led by boxing great MC Mary Kom hasn't yet been made public. Our IEOA President PT Usha berated them for taking to the street. Delhi police continue to drag their feet in a case involving a minor. Members of the oversight committee asked for audio and video evidence of Singh's sexual advances. The first paragraph giving you the brief happenings, right? So these are the country's medal earners, right? That means those people who have brought name and fame to the country. They are the medal earners, top women wrestlers, but sitting in at the Jantar Mantar for a week, for a month, still it is not making or it is not moving the power there, the government there, who should have acted against BJP MP Brij Bhushan Singh. These powers, these people have took courage in both their hands, mounted a collective fight against the administration, but they should have been heard. They have not been heard. Right? What can be understood from this paragraph is one, these are top women wrestlers. That means those medal earners, one, should have been heard, whatever their condition is, whatever they are saying. Right? There should be a proper, should have been a proper probe in what they are stating, what they are alleging, whatever it is. Probe investigation should have been proper. That is not done. Some step should have been taken, which has not been taken. That means whatever these people, these wrestlers are coming up with, that case of sexual harassment against the MP, no steps as such have been taken, which was expected. कि ये करेंगे. Why? Expectation तो था. अगर इतने लोग बोल रहे हैं इसके पीछे, तो that means there is some or the other thing going on, and it is the MP who has been, um, you can say, who has been actually allegedly blamed for all this. So, what should have been has not happened. This is what we can understand from the first paragraph. Probe committee and against the minister. Second, in a piece written for this newspaper, Fogart shared the experience of sleeping under the stars and fighting to be heard by those who, in earlier times, would rush to be in the same frame during victory celebrations. That means when the person is there victorious, everybody would want to be with that person, to be seen with that person, to be in the same frame. मतलब उस picture में रहना चाहेंगे. Why? Because the person is famous, right? Now, when she is taken to the streets as a protest, right? Nobody is answering, nobody is responding. So they needed to be in the same frame during the victory celebrations. For the gritty Haryana Pehelwan, the hurt is most of all about being stonewalled by those who celebrate Desh Ki Betiyan in photo ops and slogans, but only till the nation's daughters speak up and demand justice. That means when the daughters would speak up, when the daughters would demand justice, nobody is going to listen to them. Gritty means a person with courage. Grit is courage. The only voice from the ruling party that has been heard during this wrestler versus Singh showdown is that of Singh. The five-time MP from UP has sought to malign the victims. Malign is to breed defame. In his many interviews, he has called the protesting wrestlers pawns in a game that ostensibly involves opposition parties, a top industrialist, one businessman Baba, and a top official of the sports authority. He is being given the room to make unsubstantiated claims and to smear what is Indian sports' most serious and sweeping case of alleged sexual harassment. Now, see, this is only what Fogart has said, shared her experience, not necessarily the author's main point, right? But the main point comes from this only, that all these people have stonewalled the celebrities, right? That means the Haryana Pehlwan, the wrestlers, they have been stonewalled. That means nobody is listening to them. ऐसा जैसे कि stone wall लगी हुई है. So your voice will not be crossing over to the other side. So these people are speaking up, these people are demanding justice, but not to be heard. That is the same point that was established in the first paragraph. And the second thing, the second part of the paragraph is actually talking about Mr. Singh, who has come up with a counter attack, you can say. So he is demanding, or rather, he is making unsubstantiated claims. Unsubstantiated means there are no grounds. So whatever claims he is making, there are no grounds for it. And this, all this is actually smearing or spoiling the case of the sexual harassment here. So the main points here would be the nation's daughters speak up and demand justice, and nobody would listen. And they are being stonewalled. Right? Then Mr. Singh is calling these protesting wrestlers as games in the pawns in the game that ostensibly involved opposition parties. Ostensibly would mean it's quite obvious. It can be seen. Okay, whatever the case is, all this is just framing that person, MP Singh. This is what Mr. Singh says, right? Not the author. Now, Singh's party, the BJP, has made no move so far to reach out to the protesting women, athletes or to censure or distance itself from saying. No minister, not even Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani, who speaks her mind and is otherwise not known to hold back from making a point of women's issues, has reached out to them. Right? So now see how the author is establishing that nobody has heard, no response, right? These people have spoken up, but then it is unheard and hence no response. Right? This is the whole point of the author कि governments में कोई सुन नहीं रहा है, कोई respond नहीं कर रहा है, and it's been a month. And of course, the legal process must run its course, but that cannot be the cover for the sheer withholding and denial of sensitivity by the ruling party and the government. That means nobody is saying anything. Nobody has responded to these wrestlers, right? So then this is like being insensitive. That is what the author says now. This denial of response, holding back any reaction, right? This is being insensitive. It was a BJP government that asked the minister to step down from office days after testimonies by women alleging sexual harassment and predatory behavior became public. That was MG Akbar, then Minister of State for External Affairs, had to resign in 2018. Now, this was an incident which spoke about how these people reacted or responded in a prior case. Now they are not doing so. That why would the author give such an example to establish his point that see this was expected now that even now in this case they would be coming up with a proper response and take some action against the minister. But then it was expected, but then it did not happen. So and yet 5 years on, Singh struts around as the women among the nation's finest wrestlers protest on a footpath and in the open. Fogart wrote that her mother is scared and worried and keeps asking her, Beta, kuch hoga? Will something happen? So the least she deserves is an honest answer from those who have the power to act against the accused. That means those who are there in power should take a proper action, should give a proper answer to those people who are there in the open on a footpath protesting against the alleged person. So the major point here would be that there is no response, no move so far, right? Even those people who were known for their responding to such sensitive matters openly, right, and quickly, they have not responded. So the legal process must run its course. It's okay, fine. But then this denial of sensitivity by the ruling party is not correct. So no move so far and denial of sensitivity, same connection, right? This is the example not to be mentioned right now, but which proves that earlier it had reached out to the people and now it is not. So this indicates the change in the attitude in this particular case. So as we can understand now, there were 3 paragraphs coming up with 3 lines that these people have protested and it's been a month, but then there has been no probe, there has been no response from those people in power, which were earlier quite sensitive in these matters or to these matters, but then they are not right now in the present. So, what will it take for the nation's finest wrestlers to be heard by those who have the power to act against the accused? Right? So then to be heard means they are speaking up. They should be heard, but then they are not heard. By whom? By this power. So no response. So they are speaking up, but then they are not heard, and because they are not heard, there is no response. Right? All these were in short, as I told you, in short, 3 points from the 3 paragraphs. gives you the central idea that these people are speaking up against a minister, but the concerned authorities or those who are in the power are not responding timely and are not responding at all, rather, even not heard the person's allegations. I hope this is clear now. So, the words unprecedented would mean something that has not happened earlier. Before, right? Berated is like to insult, humiliate, किसी का rate कम कर देना, right? So insult, humiliate. Gritty is courage, the nerve. Stonewalled is like instantly no response, no connection, no response. That means it is literally like a stone wall here, right? So if there's a stone wall, then the person sitting this side is not able to reach B. So person B has been stone walled. Why? Because they have built a stone wall in between them. So then there can be no connection, right? Malign would mean to defame. Malign का opposite हमने किया है benign. Ostensibly is showy, obvious, quite apparent. Smear is to spoil, to taint. इसका soil भी हो सकता है. ठीक है, किसी पर भी किसी का नाम खराब कर देना, धब्बा लगा देना, that is it. Or besmirched or stigmatize. Censure is castigate, right? Criticize, castigate, decry, denounce, कुछ भी ये ना उनके सामने एकदम बोल देना. Criticize करना, that is a simple word for censure. Sheer means pure, only. Contrast कई बार sheer use होता है just for the sheer स्टार्क जैसे बोलते हैं शेयर स्टार्क कॉन्ट्रास्ट होता है जैसे वैसा predatory is those who are preying, predatory is killing, and struts around means running around. ठीक है predatory का मतलब होता है those who are preying on you, शिकार करना. ठीक है जो शिकार करते हैं वो predatory होते हैं, predators होते हैं मतलब. ठीक है the strutting around is running around. Now these are the idioms you can say. So this unseen eye and a deaf ear हमने पहले ही उठा लिया था उसमें से टाइटल से. तो unseen eye and deaf ear become the figures of speech, and hard wall of science can also be the same. Drag their feet is like doing something very slowly. That is dragging. Drag का मतलब होता है घसीटना. Turned its back, that means no response. Pawns in the game means some just puppets you can say. So somebody else is actually pulling the string. ठीक है देखो puppets क्या होते हैं. किसी के हाथ की कठपुतली बनना वो पपेट्स होते हैं. तो पॉन्स इन द गेम का मतलब होता है एक बड़ा सा गेम चल रहा है और वो उसमें सिर्फ एक प्यादे का काम करते हैं. इफ यू हैव प्लेन चेस you would know pawns, right? So like they are puppets but somebody else is ruling. Given the room means they had enough space, enough freedom to state something, and what they stated was something that was unsubstantiated. इतना उसे टाइम इतना उसे स्पेस दिया था कि ठीक है तो अपने हिसाब से अपना अपने लिए बोलो अपने केस के लिए. So what did they say? He actually came up with pointing out the finger to the people who were protesting only, right? He gave them the evidence. वैसा था कुछ. So a few idioms, a few phrases, one figure of speech, and the general usual words that we come across. So, and the reading part, if you are able to take out the central idea, you will get it. Identify the main points of every paragraph. You will be able to understand the rest of the passage also. So, thank you for all that we have done this day. Next day, again, you need to read. I hope you have not forgotten that you need to read two passages or two articles more from your newspaper. Any other newspaper will do, right? So that's all for today. So thank you and have a very logical day ahead.